Guys, this is the MVP, which stands for Modular Versatile Panel. Need I say more?
What's up, saddle hunters? Greg and Carl here, and today we're talking all about back support. So at Tethrd, we really have two options that we've developed really over a long time. So our original is the Recliner, and this is kind of the one that I tend to use. And then we have a new offering that Carl will talk about called the MVP. They do the same things on a macro level, but at a micro level, the MVP is a lot more adjustable than the original Recliner. We made the MVP a lot more robust than we made the Recliner, because the Recliner was meant to be the ultralight, minimalist, carry it and you kind of forget that it's even in your pack. It's so small. It only weighs a couple of ounces and it does exactly what it's designed to do. It gives you back support. So I'm probably going to continue to run the Recliner just because I really like keeping my kit as trim and minimalist as possible. But I definitely lose some features that you get with the MVP that Carl can talk about.
Yeah, so like Greg said, the MVP, we built this thing like a tank. It's got a stronger webbing, kind of updated, stronger plastic buckles, and you can see on the back side of it here, it's got our mesh that we use on our saddles, the Phantoms and the Mantis. So it's really, really strong. It's got the entire binding around the border of it is actual 1-inch webbing folded over. So it goes beyond a normal lightweight binding. And what that does, it just gives it structure, gives it some more meat and some more support. One thing that we did with it is it is a little longer. We have two sizes. This is the regular, married up to the regular Phantom. And then we have an XL MVP for the Phantom XL. Now, are these designed to go with the Phantoms? Yes, but they will work with any saddle out there. It doesn't matter who makes it. It doesn't matter if it has Molly. It just doesn't matter at all. If the saddle has bridge loops and you hook it into a carabiner, it'll work on it. Speaking of the bridge loops, right here we have these ITW bungee clips. And what they do is they give the MVP a fulcrum, a pivoting point. And there's kind of been the argument of two panel versus single panel out there. And what I've been preaching all year long at all the shows and all the teaching trains is two-panel saddles, they all have one thing in common. You cannot adjust the bottom or the top panel without affecting the other one. So you can't move the top panel without putting some sort of affecting the bottom panel in some way.
Which doesn't tend to be a problem
if you're keeping them close.
If you're keeping them close, and it seems like a lot of people run a two-panel saddle that way. Our buddy John Eberhardt, he's been running a two-panel saddle that way since the 80s. So he kind of takes his saddle, his two panels, and he basically keeps them together, essentially making either a really shallow one-panel saddle or spreading them out and getting a really deep, essentially a one-panel saddle. But Carl's right in that you can't move panel A without affecting panel B because they're connected. They're connected at the bridge loops. But the MVP solves that because it's a completely independent panel.
Yeah, just the very nature of a two-panel saddle, and I don't care if it's ours or if it's somebody else's, is that the panels are slaved together. You can't move one without affecting the other. And like Greg said, the MVP solves that because obviously we have full independent adjustment of our single-panel saddle via the bridge, the tether, comfort channels, and so on. And then we have independent adjustment of the MVP, so you could just completely tune this thing to how you need it to be for your comfort. It's very infinite. And
you can run it from, what do we like to say?
Armpits to knee pits.
From your knee pits to your armpits. I mean,
so right
Jared,
now I kind of have it in a lower back position on this fulcrum, so I can really kind of bring it up high, and it's still going to stay out of the way. You can see this angle is pretty much mirroring the bridge, so it's out of the way. We're not going to have any string contact or anything like that, even at some pretty silly shot angles.
So if you wanted it to run, if you wanted to run it like the Recliner, like you can see I have it on here, I end up running my recliner up high a lot of times, but you can't do that with a 2-panel saddle, right? With the MVP, you can. You could disconnect the ITW bungees, and then you could run it all the way below your knees or all the way up under your armpits. So there's a lot of versatility and adjustability with the MVP that you don't get with the recliner. It's not that the recliner is a bad product. Like I said, I'm still going to run the recliner. I just prefer it. But this has unlimited adjustability.
Yeah, I mean, the recliner is super minimalist, super streamlined, high speed, low drag. But this, like Greg said, in order to move it, we're just going to pop that off of there, the bungee off of there. That one's free. I'll do the same over here, and now I have a completely free back band. So armpits, and then if I want to go down to my knee pits, I'm just going to loosen this. I can go right down to here. So whenever I go into that sitting position, just make some minor adjustments to get a little bit of tension under your legs.
So as far as I know, Jared, who's behind the camera, Jared, wave the camera. Yeah.
Jared does this a lot.
As far as I know, Jared is the first one that ever talked about doing that.
Yes.
And he said for a long sit, I've never really run it that way, but for a long sit, according to Jared, he'll put it under there to relieve the pressure on his knees, because when you're sitting in a saddle for a long time, sometimes your knees, they kind of want to do this. And so Jared will run it under here and give some support or some relief to his legs. And that's a cool thing. I've never done it, but apparently that's a cool thing to do.
The adjustability, getting into that spot is really pretty quick and intuitive, because like I said, you just slide it down, and obviously you can see it's a little bit loose from where it was on my back. And we're just gonna move this ladder lock right here, and we're just gonna slide our entire webbing cluster. It just slides freely with my extra webbing there, just right up, and you can do the other side the same. Now I've got good tension on it. A little bit more. There we go. And like Greg said, you're not using those quads anymore. You're not using any, you can see my feet just dangling. You know, I'm not using any leg muscles at all to stay put. I can absolutely go to sleep. My legs aren't going to try to split the tree. You know, it's just really, really versatile.
And you can also, if you want, you can overlap it like a traditional 2-panel saddle. Yes. You could run it low, you can run it high, you can basically run it however you want. And
yeah, we can go here, we can go here. And also, this was kind of a bonus that we figured out. Whenever you can actually keep this attached to your saddle just by putting this bungee back through and clipping it on. This saddle stays put. You can walk around with this thing on, and it's not going to fall down below your butt. It's just going to stay right there. And one of the reasons that works is because we made 2 different sizes. You know, we've got the regular and we've got the XL for smaller saddles or regular saddles up to giant saddles.
As you can see, we can't cover all of the features and benefits of both of the different options. But one thing you should do, you should have back support if you are a saddle hunter. Get yourself a recliner. If you want something a little bit more robust, get the MVP. Or if you're cheap, like I used to be, just make one. You can do it. It's not even that hard. You just need some webbing and a couple of ladder lock adjustable buckles that you can get from anywhere. Get them on Amazon, get them on Walmart. If you can sew just a little bit, you can whip up one of these in 15 or 20 minutes. So don't feel like you have to buy it from us. Don't feel like you have to buy it from anywhere. Make it yourself. We always love it when guys do DIY projects because it gets you more engaged in the hunt. It keeps you thinking about your system year round, which is going to make you more effective. It's going to make you a better hunter in the end.
Keep tweaking it, keep refining it. Another thing too, I forgot to mention, the MVP is also an inch taller. So there's a little bit more surface area to distribute the weight. And like Greg said, back support's really, really critical, even for people who don't have back problems. But the one thing that's we've been kind of hearing a lot is that guys who have chronic back problems, some guys have vertebrae fused together and stuff, we hear a lot of good, positive things about them making the transition over to saddles. It's just, I don't have back problems, so I can't really attest to it, but it's cool to hear guys they'll come up to you and they're like, I've got crazy back problems. I went from a stand to a saddle, throw that recliner in there, man, dreamy, So it's back support's it's something you want to think about.
So if you don't have back support, make it, or send us a few bucks and we'll send you some back support that we know will work for you. Thanks for watching. Hopefully you guys learned a little bit of something, and hopefully this was helpful.
Have a good one.